something at least to mitigate it. And that's brought out very nicely in Malaby's new book. The other two books are by British economists. One is John Kay. Some of you may know him. He's a regular columnist in the Financial Times, although he also teaches economics at the London School of Economics. And he published a book 2 years ago called Other People's Money. And in that book, he argues that every modern economy needs a well-functioning financial system. It performs 4 essential functions for a modern economy. I won't review them in detail. His judgment is that the financial system in today's modern economies, and he was talking mainly about the UK and the US, with side comments on continental Europe, and each of you will have to judge to what extent his generalizations apply to other countries. But his main observation is that financial systems in modern economies are much too large to perform, much larger than necessary to perform those 4 critical functions, and they perform those 4 critical functions very badly. That they become absorbed with trading. Trading has become the dominant characteristic and mindset of the modern financial system, and the trading has gotten out of hand. It detracted, first, if it's done well, it's lucrative, so it's attracted a lot of resources into the sector, which are unnecessary to perform those fundamental functions. And secondly, it is detracted from performing those fundamental sections badly. He makes one suggestion, which I will throw out. He makes many suggestions, but one which I found particularly interesting, which is how do you hold people in the financial sector responsible for the consequences of actions by institutions in the financial sector, even when they are not individually responsible for the malfeasant action in question. And he makes an analogy to the Royal Navy, which I find quite interesting, which is that in the Royal Navy, and the same is true of the US Navy, and for all I know, many other navies in the world, if it happens on your watch, which is on a ship, you are responsible. If you are the officer of the day, you are responsible for anything that happens on your watch. If the helmsman runs onto a sandbar, you're responsible. And and of course you don't get thrown in jail, you don't get fined, but your Navy career is finished. Your Navy career is finished if something bad happens on your watch. And I think what we need, and again I'm talking mainly from an Anglo-Saxon background, other countries are different in their legal systems, but we need some form of penalty focused on individuals now, not institutions, but focused on individuals, which falls between guilty of a criminal act on the one hand and innocence on the other. And that's where this Navy analogy becomes interesting, which is if it happens on your watch, you're responsible, and you won't be thrown in jail, but it can affect your career adversely. And I think that one of the things, which as far as I know is not on the agenda of folks like us to think about the international financial system, is how to make individuals responsible for developments that occur when they're in